Welcome back to Social Skills is Canceled. Today, I want to talk about fall and what it has to do with how we support our kids. Fall is my favorite time of the year, mostly because I like cold weather mixed with sunshine. And fall is when that combination is just right around here. Living in Texas, I have minimal exposure to the magnificence that is the leaves changing colors. But nights with my windows open, driving with my windows down, and chilly morning walks really set the tone for me. There's something else about fall that I've learned to appreciate, and that's the concept of death. I know, definitely not what you expected, but hear me out. Do you know why leaves change color and fall in autumn? Do you know the science behind this annual occurrence? Leaves are a tree's way of taking in as much sunshine as possible during the spring and summer. So they make the tree expand and be able to take in more sunshine from the atmosphere. More sunshine equals more growth for the tree. During these months, trees send a constant supply of water to their leaves. It's a pretty symbiotic relationship. Leaves get water, trees get sunlight, both benefit, both grow. Until the weather starts to change. Once it gets cold enough for the ground to freeze, trees struggle to get water. If they continue to give water to their leaves throughout the fall, they will die in the winter. So they stop. The leaves are turning beautiful colors because they are dying. And then they fall to the ground. The tree is able to conserve its resources and live another year. So while we were running around and playing in leaf piles and taking fall pictures and oohing and eyeing over pumpkin spice and buying Halloween decorations and costumes and candy, we are actually living amidst death. Fall is intended to be a time of death for all creatures. We often see spring as a season of life, but we prefer to avoid thinking about the opposite end of that cycle. If you think about animals that hibernate, fall is when they start shutting down. Right? So it doesn't have to be literal death. It can be symbolic death. It can be figurative death. A lot of animals don't reproduce in fall because they don't want to have babies in the winter. So again, it can be symbolic death, shutting down of reproductive functions, shutting down of how much we eat. I'm learning to embrace the figurative concept of death in the fall. During the month of October, I've been working really hard to kill old habits and routines that no longer serve me. I'm allowing some things in my life to die. At the beginning of the month, I moved into a new home. I'm someone who really likes change and novelty, so I actually move quite a bit. This new home is very spacious and quiet. I have absolutely loved being here the last few weeks. It's in an area of the city that I've never lived in before. It's pretty far from my usual running and biking trails that used to be 5 minutes away from my front door. And that's one of the reasons I decided to move here, to get out of old habits and routines and allow myself to create new ones. I've also been on a liquid diet all month. The last few months, I've been pretty careless with what I've been eating, and I could see and feel the consequences. So this month, I've eliminated carbs, only consuming meal replacement shakes. I've lost the weight that I was intending to lose, but more importantly, I feel so much better physically and mentally. The biggest improvement has been my sleep. Another change that I've made is my sleep schedule. Because I work in the evenings at Starfish, I tend to go to bed late. It takes my brain a bit to wind down from the day. Also, I don't have to get up in the mornings to go to work. So my sleep schedule is typically several hours later than everyone else's. This month, cleaning carbs out of my system has meant I naturally wake up around 7:30 every day. Now, this might seem late to some people, but previously I would have rolled over and gone back to sleep if I woke up at 7:30. But now I wake up ready to get up. I just feel good. I'm still working on bedtime, but this month has been much better than my history. I don't feel tired during the day. I don't feel lethargic. I just feel ready for the day. I've also stopped or changed other habits in my routine and routines in my life this month. Habits around how I spend my downtime. I'm not big on social media, but spending even less time than I normally do this month. I'm a triathlete, but I have not gone swimming, biking, or running at all this month. I've had 4 races this year. And so this month I chose to stop focusing so much on activities that I felt were allowing me to remove myself from focusing on other things. They were kind of like a built-in excuse. Oh, I've got to go get my ride in. I've got to go to the gym. Where now I don't have to do any of that. I have been either walking for an hour or doing yoga for an hour every day this month, but nothing like the 20 hours a week of training that I typically do throughout the year. Another way that I've played with figurative death this month has to do with ideas and beliefs that no longer serve me or resonate with me. The most tangible example of this in my life is my tattoos. I have a lot of tattoos. I got 3 tattoos as soon as I was old enough to do so. I got 2 more about 5 years later when I went through the most challenging time in my life. I added more earlier this year. One of them represents one value that's at the center of how I try to live my life. And the other commemorates the Ironman that I completed in April, something I never thought I was capable of doing. In the past, I've had 2 of my old tattoos removed because they no longer held meaning for me. You can't be who you were at 18 forever. At least you shouldn't be anyways. I've been thinking a lot about some of my tattoos that are now 15 or 20 years old. While I still appreciate the reason behind them, they no longer represent who I am. And again, I think that's a good thing. So this past weekend, I got more tattoos. One of the old tattoos that would have been really difficult to cover up with a new one due to its size and shape and location, I decided to add to it instead. I added the neurodiversity butterfly. So kind of like how there are ribbons for a lot of causes, neurodiversity has a butterfly, and it's a mix of all different colors. So it's kind of like the autism ribbon, how it's different colors, but it's puzzle pieces. It's the same concept with different colors, but it's a butterfly. This butterfly represents not only me and my ADHD, but also my mission in life. When I'm 60, I know I won't be the same person I am now. At least I hope not. But neurodiversity will always be part of who I am and what I do. And to be able to turn a 20-year-old tattoo I no longer really cared about into something incredibly meaningful was an emotional experience. Bad pain physically, good pain emotionally. I also came up with an idea to cover up the 2 tattoos I got 15 years ago on my leg and my feet. They represent me coming out of the darkness I was in at the time, but they no longer speak to me. So I got a large tattoo that covers all of them. It represents the most important person in my life. It's beautiful and colorful and bold, just like she was. No matter who I am in 20 years, she will always be my guiding light, reminding me to be beautiful and colorful and bold. I realized I'm covering the memories of a challenge with memories of love. And that will still be there 20 years from now. So that's the summary of my October so far, of my efforts at letting habits, routines, and beliefs die along with the leaves. I want to invite you to join me on this death, this cleanse, this shedding of the things that keeps us down and hold us back, this letting go of who we used to be. I'm not going to force my shakes on you or drag you to the tattoo parlor. I am going to ask you to confront what is the most impactful factor in our lives: our thoughts. I'm going to challenge us to analyze our thoughts and beliefs and see if there are some that need to go the way of the leaves this fall. All the beliefs I'm going to challenge have to do with our kids with social learning challenges. First up is one of the most common things I hear when it comes to our kids: the belief that our kids just need to be around other kids like them in order to make friends. I have families ask why their child can't just come to game time at Starfish without going through the content. What outings we have coming up that their kid can join. Can we just connect them with other Starfish kids so they can hang out together instead of them actually joining our program? If our kids just needed to be around other kids like them, they would have made friends in all the other programs and therapies and groups they've been in. That's like me thinking all I need to do to find my future partner is go hang out at the gym where all the dudes are. P.S. I go to the gym 3 times a week. I have yet to meet my future partner. Our kids are not suffering from a lack of opportunity. They are struggling with a lack of skills, practice, and coaching. All the play dates and special need clubs in the world will not help them make friends if they are not gaining the skills and practice necessary to make that happen. We can't throw kids in a pool and expect that they'll learn how to swim, even if everybody else in that pool knows how to swim. It's not that our kids can't do it, it's that they don't know how. And putting them around other kids like them does not teach them how. Next up, the next belief I want you to think about: that your kid is just shy, which goes along with the concept of they'll grow out of it. I don't believe in the concept of shy. Some people are introverted, like me. I'm very far over on the introvert scale. Yet I have no problem speaking in a room full of people. Being introverted doesn't mean being shy. I believe shy is code for social anxiety. Our kids who have a reputation for being shy are the same kids who are worried about what other people will think about what they say and do. They think they're going to say something silly, so they don't say anything. They think that other kids are going to laugh at them or be mean to them, so they fade into the background. They don't ask for help because they think it makes them look dumb. Just like all these beliefs our kids have aren't true, neither is the belief that your kid is just shy. Kids who don't engage with other kids don't grow out of it. They become the teenager who doesn't have friends, the adult who doesn't know how to ask for help, the employee who doesn't speak up for themselves. We need to change the way we think about shy kids, and we need to change the way they think about themselves in the social world. We need to recognize that they need help, not pity or excuses. Number 3, my kid needs to be around other kids who are on his or her social level. For the first several years I ran Starfish Social Club, that's exactly what I believed. I placed kids in groups based on their age and their social ability. The groups were pretty easy to run because each one had its own dynamic. There were groups for kids who were socially anxious. Let's call them squares, since I think of them as building a box around themselves. Those were pretty quiet groups. There were groups for kids who were super kind and just needed to learn how to be more socially successful. Let's call them circles, because they're all about love and inclusion. Those groups were fun and low key. There were groups for kids who had reputations for being annoying or stuck. Let's call them triangles, as they aren't a square peg or a round hole. Those groups were lively and engaging, but sometimes fell into chaos. After we came back from lockdown in 2020, I started letting parents choose their child's schedule instead of assigning kids to groups myself. This meant that we all had different kids in each group. I thought it would be difficult. I thought it would be chaotic. And you know what? It was awesome. Here's what I realized after 2 years of running groups this way. The kids who have a reputation for being annoying, triangle kids, need to get helpful feedback from other kids. When they're all in a group together, it turns into a bit of a tornado. No one is interjecting to give them feedback. But guess who gives very helpful feedback? Kids who are super kind and are learning about the social world. Circles. And the kids who are socially anxious, the squares, and like for others to follow the rules. The circle kids need opportunities to stand up for themselves. This is a challenge for them. When they're all in a group together, they have no need to self-advocate. But when they're with triangles, they need to be able to say they want to go first, or that what that person just said bothered them. The squares are great at noticing things. They're very aware of the environment. So they help our circles identify things that might work better than what they're trying. The kids who are squares need to see successful social interaction. They need to see the stuff that we talk about is real and works. They get to see this with the circle kids. They get to see them try what we talk about and how it goes. This gives them the courage to try for themselves. They also need to be able to self-advocate, which they have the opportunity to do in the presence of the triangle kids, who can be a bit much and a little bit overwhelming sometimes. We also have kids with different ages, cognitive abilities, and language skills in the same game times. Why? Awareness. Several years ago, one of my most socially adept kids got really annoyed at one of my circle kids who had lower cognitive skills. After talking about it, he realized they were both autistic. They just looked different. He told me he'd spent his whole life, he was 15 at the time, his whole life being taught how to get along with normal kids, but no one had ever taught him how to get along with kids like him. Wow. We don't have to be friends with everyone. We don't have to like everyone. That's not even logical. But how much sense does it make for us to want other kids to like our kids, but not expect our kids to do the same? And if I were to draw a cognitive line, where would that line be? Some of our kids who have cognitive or language challenges are the kindest, most helpful kids in the group. Why would we want to eliminate them? What if I drew a behavioral line instead? What if I only accepted kids who weren't mean to others or didn't annoy other kids? Man, some of our most amazing leaders at Starfish right now were those mean, annoying kids a few years ago. At Starfish Social Club, all students with social learning challenges have a place, as long as they're able to function in the group setting that we provide. They all get value from the other types of kids, and they all give value to the other types of kids. We all belong. Number 4, one of the reasons people aren't always a fan of what we do at Starfish is because we give our students social feedback. And we teach them to give it to each other as well. Every once in a while, a parent gets upset about this and interprets it as me or another student being mean to their child. There have been parents who have pulled their child from the program because they didn't like the feedback their child received. Most of our kids have gone their whole little lives without receiving social feedback. Other kids tell them they're annoying, but never tell them why. Or other kids allow them to do socially inappropriate things and just write it off. Oh, that's just the way he is. Or other kids think they have to placate our kids to avoid big reactions. Or other kids think it's mean to give feedback to autistic kids. So our kids go through their day, through their year, through their lives without anybody actually giving them helpful social feedback that would cause making friends easier for them. When our kids aren't used to getting social feedback, they think other people are being mean to them when they come to Starfish. I've heard kids say they're being bullied because someone asked them to please stop interrupting the group. The triangle kids, the stuck kids, are most at risk for this because feedback is hardest for this group. The most frustrating thing that happens at Starfish has nothing to do with the kids. It's when parents pull their kids out because they're upset about them getting feedback from others. This shows me that this child does not get social feedback anywhere else in their day, including at home. It also shows me they have no awareness or ability to change their reputation. So they will continue being known as the annoying kid, which breaks my heart. The number of triangle kids in our program who have worked through the painful feedback phase and are now some of the most popular kids at Starfish serves as my inspiration to keep reaching each child that I can. What we do works as long as we stick it out. The same is true for the circle kids and the square kids. The square kids need social feedback to see that their way of thinking is not always accurate and is holding them back. The circle kids need social feedback so they can learn new things. The last belief for today is that parents don't have much influence or effect on their child's ability to make friends. Parents actually have the ability to have a significant impact on their child's reputation and social skills. Not by scheduling play dates or cramming social stories down their kids' throats or pushing them to just go say hi. None of these actually help our kids make friends. It's in what we say and how we say it on a regular basis. That's it. I don't have magic fairy dust at Starfish. I'm not hypnotizing the kids. There are no artificial rewards or punishments, no timeout, no sticker charts, no apologizing, no treasure chests. I put all my energy into what I say and how I say it to each kid. Our circle kids require a different approach than our square kids, who require a different approach than our triangle kids. It's really that simple. Not easy by any means, but simple and learnable. So if you're ready to help your child do more than just be around other kids like them, for them to get helpful social feedback, for them to feel less socially anxious, you can join our waiting list for our live classes each week at starfishsocialclub.org/SC3-Academy. If you'd like to join me on our newest adventure, where I teach parents and teachers how to talk to their child and improve their friendship skills, join the waiting list at starfishsocialclub.org/empowered advocate. The program's kicking off soon, and it comes with personalized support from me along the way. Thank you for joining me today. Our next episode will be about where I am. So I've already done the how it started, and I'm going to talk about how it's going, how I take what we just talked about today, all these different beliefs that we have, how I turn them upside down for the benefit of our kids. So time to get back to my no carb shakes and my long walks in the cool weather while my tattoos heal. I'll see you next time.